Ugh. Time for a review of the ZTE device known as the Blade X Max. Now this phone right here is a phone exclusively for Cricket at the moment. Sometimes when I see phones like this, I often wonder, it's true, I often wonder how the OEMs are making any money. But because this phone is only 150 bucks at full cost on Cricket, and then $99 if you do a port in from a different carrier. So with that being said, that means I like it. That means it's pretty much just a carryover from the ZTE Z Max Pro, which when you look at the body on this thing, the build quality on here is exactly the same as the Z Max Pro, but they take it to a different, they take it up a notch, I guess I'll say. They make it a little bit better, actually. I thought that the soft touch back on the Z Max Pro was really nice, but this one here, it may be a fingerprint magnet, but it looks so much better. I mean, the hardware on this thing is just, I already loved the Z Max Pro's build and the way it felt in the hands, rounded off, it's really sweet. But the fact that they smoothed off this back and put like this pattern in there, it is really, really beautiful. Now, of course, I don't like this huge Cricket logo on the back. I could probably deal with this, but I would have liked to have seen this gone. There's nothing I can do about that. But however, the build quality on here is really nice. You've got that ridge power button and volume rockers. It's pretty much just smooth all the way around. A phone like this has USB Type-C, so you often wonder why can't other OEMs that have lower priced devices give us USB Type-C. They said, oh, this is the future, but some phones are still coming with USB 2.0. So, you know, I don't know. On the front, though, you do get a full 1080p display, which is just gorgeous. There's just no getting around it. This is a beautiful display. The technology is supposed to be TFT opposed to IPS, but regardless of that, this display is gorgeous, hands down. A big 6-inch display is what you want for media content, and it is just really, really good. On the back here, you've got that 13 megapixel camera, and on the front, you have a 5 megapixel camera. So let's talk about the cameras for a minute. I actually use this phone, and I was out and about just doing regular footage or just doing regular things in my life. So I just whipped it out and, you know, just started taking some photos at the spot that I was at, and, you know, took video footage. The video quality on here, it kind of surprised me, actually. I don't know if this is the same sensor that's in the Z Max Pro, but all in all, it's actually, the footage is pretty good. Now, the cameras aren't the strong suit. The front camera is definitely on the weaker side. However, in the right setting, in the right lighting, you can get a good shot. As you can see in the video, you can get a good shot with that front camera. The rear camera does really good at 1080p. The fact that it doesn't shoot at 60 frames per second or 4K, the 4K thing is definitely not a deal breaker, but 60 frames per second would have been nice. But there are applications like Open Camera that will allow you to really get enhancements from this camera. But I didn't want to test those during the review phase. I've actually used Open Camera, you know, the cameras themselves, they are good enough for what we do today on smartphones, and that's just what it is. The front camera, again, is definitely not the strong suit, but the rear camera is doable for footage, you know, so this phone should last you a long time. Granted, it is software, you know, because it's software. This has 7.1.1 out of the box, you know, so that's a huge plus. But overall, the cameras on here was the part that I really wanted to test out, and it did pretty good. You know, the front camera again is not the best, but what can you do? So software experience on here, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the software. I'm still running the stock launcher on here because the stock launcher is pretty much stock Android. So I have no complaints about the software. And I'll talk about internals here in just a second, but, you know, if you get this phone, you'll be surprised at how smooth the software actually is. It'll shock you. It actually shocked me, I'll say. Not that I expected anything less, because, you know, the other device, the cousin to this device, or the older brother, ran the 600 series, and this one runs the Snapdragon 435 with 2 gigs of RAM. Now, when you hear that, you think, oh my gosh, you know, a techie is going to hear, that's garbage, that's trash, you know, it won't run good. When in all reality, it actually runs really solid. I haven't had any problems. When I first booted the phone up, after I did the initial unboxing and stuff, The phone, I guess it was doing some software tweaks or something. It just rebooted a couple times. I mean, after that, it's been fine. I haven't had any problems with it. But you know, that first boot is a long boot, and but the software on here is, I like how ZTE does it. Just a tiny bit of bloatware, if you will, and it's totally nothing that you'll even notice. But with the Cricket version here, I will tell you that you can't remove some of these devices, some of these applications on here, but it's something that you probably would use anyway, like the voicemail and, you know, the My Cricket app, stuff like that. But the performance on this phone, you know, it's good. I don't have, it's not the fastest, don't get me wrong, but it is definitely good. It's good enough for the average consumer. You shouldn't have any problems with the software on this phone and the performance if you set the right expectation. Like, don't think that you're going to open up the camera app and it's going to open, boom, as fast as a phone with an 800 series processor. You know, keeping that in mind, I don't think the people buying this phone are really into tech like some of us. The average consumers are loving this phone right here, and they're just watching our videos more than likely to get some tips and tricks or figure out more things about their device, which is perfectly fine. But overall, though, you know, the package seems complete. And when I say complete, the battery is 3,400 milliamps. I haven't had one problem with battery life on this phone. This phone, and again, you would think that the 600 series 625, now it's not that kind of battery life, but if this did have a 625 in it with 3 gigs of RAM, this will be a killer phone with a 3,400 milliamp hour battery. But the 400 series processor in here, with 3,400 milliamp hour battery, this is a good, you should be able to easily get 6 hours. I mean, easily. Now, one of the biggest selling points, I think, on this phone should be how big the screen is and what you can do with media content. Netflix, my favorite place outside of YouTube is probably Netflix. I don't really watch a lot of YouTube videos unless I'm catching up with some of my subscriptions, but Netflix on this phone, great combination. This has Dolby audio, and even though it has a rear-firing speaker, this has got to be one of the loudest speakers on the device that's backfiring. They made sure to make it really loud because it is a backfiring speaker. It really would have been nice if they would have shifted to the bottom, but you know, you've got that Dolby audio, and it's actually pretty good. I mean, the price point on here is 99 bucks pretty much if you pour it in, or 150 straight out. That is just pennies on the dollar for what this phone is offering. You know, you've got phones in this, they're competing with this phone with the same specs, like the Stylo. Those have the same internals pretty much as this phone, and they do offer some more software tweaks. But I don't know that I could recommend them over this phone right here. And I just grabbed the Stylo. I'm not saying the Stylo is a bad phone, but just having this big 6-inch display and this huge battery and the stock Android feel, totally worth it. You know, I'll need to get the Stylo in-house to test the cameras. I've seen some people put up some videos on the Stylo. But I got to tell you, if you were a person who wanted the Z Max Pro and you were on Cricket and you couldn't get it, and you went and bought one, unlocked and all of that, time's up. Here you go. Here's your device. It's just a better version of it, if you will, with the heart, the way it looks, and also, you know, you don't have that rose gold highlight. The silver actually looks really sweet on here. Remember the Z Max Pro with the highlights around and everything, the rose gold around the buttons and everything, all gone. Speaking of Z Max Pro, if you have cases and things, and someone asked me this in a video and comments somewhere online, will the cases and stuff fit this phone? Everything for the Z Max Pro will fit this phone. That's your answer. Everything that's on that phone will fit this phone to the T. It's good to go. So overall, guys, I think that the ZTE Blade X Max is a go. It's a great phone. I don't have any complaints about it. I do have a complaint. I shouldn't say that. The camera software, and this is just to ZTE. Now, of course, they could have given us 3 gigs of RAM and a different processor and all that. We can ask for it all we want to, but reality is this package works. No hiccups, no flaws. 7.1 right out of the box. That lets you know that this processor and the 2 gigs of RAM can handle it. But the software for the camera seriously is in need of an update. It is probably some of the slowest software that I could ever use on a camera for a device. It is really slow. Taking a photo is fast, but the software on the camera just seems outdated. You know, it's something that we've seen on all of the ZTE devices pretty much, and I'm kind of waiting for something else. It has to be something. Also, give us 60 frames per second. We don't have to have 4K, but definitely give us 60 frames per second. That will be a huge bump in the quality for the footage that comes from these cameras. So I'm really looking for something like that to happen, because I know they could be added in a software update, and I'm really hoping that that's something. I think it can be added in a software update, but that would have been nice to have this out of the box. And that's just a personal preference for me. But I tell you what, this phone is pretty much complete for 150 bucks. You just can't beat $150 of goodness with this phone. If you like big phones and you like big media content, you want them huge like this, and you want good quality screen, big battery, you know, I can't tell you not to buy this. You know, this is what I think, because you guys knew that I would like this pretty much because I like the Z Max Pro, and this is, you know, just another version of it, if you will. And I hate to beat that horse up, but pretty much that's what it is, because all the cases, the screen protector, everything fits this phone exactly the same. But I really love, I consider this an upgrade on the back here. I consider that an upgrade with the different back cover. I really like that. And the silver accents on there instead of the rose gold, it actually looks great. So it's your man Jay Will, full review for the ZTE Blade X Max. Now, I told you that there was something that I wanted to talk to you about, and I have it right up here. Here's the box that I opened, and here's the sealed box. So this one can be yours. All you need to do is leave a comment down below outside of your other comments saying, Jay, you're the best. I really appreciate you doing this review. Leave another comment, separate comment, saying hashtag thank you ZTE, hashtag ZTE Blade X Max. So those two hashtags in your comment, let me know that you're entered. Just put those in the comment alone. If you want to comment saying, hey Jay, you're the best, you're the greatest YouTuber, no, I'm doing all right. But if you want to win one of these, this brand new one right here, hashtag thank you ZTE, hashtag ZTE Blade X Max, and be sure to be subscribed here. And if you have Twitter, you definitely want to subscribe to me on Twitter, Mr. J.L. Williams. My social media is Mr. J.L. Williams, all over all social media. So if you want to win one of these, follow me on social media, stay tuned right here, and make sure you share this video. Let's get the word out there. Put it on your social media. Share it everywhere you can. And that's how you can win this one right here. Sealed and waiting to ship to you. So what do you got to do? Leave a comment telling me I'm the greatest. And then leave a separate comment saying hashtag thank you ZTE, hashtag ZTE Blade X Max. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.